Well, happy Thanksgiving to everyone and welcome to the 700 Club. Today we start off with some curious news. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency is called UNRWA. It's been banned in Israel because of its ties with terrorist groups. Still, it's operating and rebuilding in Gaza.
Well, UNRWA says it's strengthening its education systems, but analysts warn UNRWA's classes have opposed the very existence of Israel for decades. Chris Mitchell has the story from Jerusalem.
UNRWA's report cites it's rehabilitated its education system and now serves nearly 50,000 children in its schools inside Gaza. David Bedeen of the Center for Near East Policy Research recently made a presentation to the newly set up Civil Military Coordination Center overseeing the Gaza ceasefire.
I told them about the curriculum, the first curriculum ever to promote first-degree murder as the focus, and the delegitimization of the Jews in the land of Israel, the importance of getting rid of them, and it's all in their textbooks.
Bedeen also says UNRWA and Hamas have an incestuous relationship.
The vast majority of the school teachers are Hamas. Israel's in the midst of a war against Hamas, and now you're going to hand over the schools to Hamas? And we're asking these questions which don't get answers.
On another front, Axios reports that the recent meeting between President Trump and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was difficult and tense behind the scenes. While the two leaders flattered each other in public, the report says President Trump was angry and disappointed with the Crown Prince over the issue of normalization with Israel. President Trump pushed Saudi Arabia to join the Abraham Accords, but bin Salman insists normalization with Israel must come along with an irreversible path to a Palestinian state with a hard deadline. However, after October 7th, Israeli leaders have said the two-state solution is a non-starter. Bin Salman also argued Saudi Arabia public opinion is overwhelmingly anti-Israel after the two-year war in Gaza. President Trump promised to sell F-35s to Saudi Arabia, made it a non-NATO ally, and offered help with a civilian nuclear program. And here in Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office announced today officials identified the latest remains from Gaza. Islamic Jihad terrorists killed Dror Or on October 7th in Kibbutz Be'eri, one of the hardest-hit communities. The terrorists also killed his wife Yonat and kidnapped two of his children, Alma and Noam. The return of Or's body leaves the remains of just two more hostages remaining inside Gaza. CBN Israel has directly supported the Or family throughout this ordeal, including the orphan children now being raised by their grandparents.
Well, Chris is with us now from Jerusalem. So, Chris, will Israel tolerate UNRWA trying to rebuild in Gaza? Hamas teachers in their classes? It's just unimaginable.
It really is, Gordon. I think they won't tolerate it if Israel takes control of the 47% of the Gaza Strip right now that Hamas is controlling. And that's where the UNRWA schools are. Nearly 50,000 students are being trained in this kind of curriculum. And what does that curriculum do, Gordon? We have a textbook that was given to us in the 5th grade. They lionize a lady named Dalal Mughrabi. She was responsible for one of the worst terror attacks in Israel's history. It's called the Coastal Road Massacre. 38 Israelis died, 13 children. This is a lady that is in a 5th grade curriculum. This is the kind of indoctrinations that have been going on for generations. And this is why the conflict continues. It's just laying the seeds for another October 7th. So if Israel does take over the rest of Gaza, I'm sure that Israel won't tolerate this kind of curriculum in those schools. And likely there won't be any UNRWA schools in Gaza if Israel takes over that part.
Well, is it time to designate UNRWA as a terror group? I mean, here they're providing not just the education in the schools, they're teaching children to hate, they're teaching children to kill, but they also provided the very classrooms were used as basing points for Hamas fighters. Underneath those classrooms were entrances to tunnels. It was clear they were part of the overall effort shouldn't at this point in time, that they're not just terrorist adjacent, but they are terrorists. So why not that designation?
Well, you would think so. If Hamas has been designated a terror group by the United States and many other nations, and then there's this incestuous relationship between Hamas and UNRWA, it really does make sense that the UNRWA would be designated, a terror organization as well. So many of the teachers are related to Hamas. Principals, assistant principals, members of Hamas, members of UNRWA actually took part in October 7th. And so their connection to terrorism is well documented, and that's what this 2-year war with Hamas has exposed, and this relationship with a UN organization, an agency, and a terror organization.
Well, let's talk about another terror organization. That's the Muslim Brotherhood. So what's the reaction in the Middle East to President Trump saying that chapters of the Muslim Brotherhood are terrorist organizations?
Well, in many ways, Gordon, the Middle East is really ahead of the United States. It designated the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization. The UAE is one of the countries that's sort of leading the attempt to designate the Muslim Brotherhood. Jordan, Egypt have all designated, Saudi Arabia even have designated the Muslim Brotherhood as terrorist organizations. Why? Because the Muslim Brotherhood represents a threat to these, quote unquote, moderate Muslim nations. So that's part of the reaction. Earlier today, we were at a meeting in the Knesset, a prayer meeting, actually. We talked to Ambassador Mike Huckabee. He was thrilled that finally the United States is taking steps to designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization because it's caused so much bloodshed, so much mayhem in the Middle East as well as around the world.
Well, let's turn to a personal story. CBN Israel helping the Orr family. What is being done to help those children?
Well, Noam and Alma, those are the two children that are now orphans. CBN Israel has been reaching out to the family, to the siblings, to the grandparents now that are now the quote-unquote parents of these two orphans. Been reaching out to them, providing emotional support, financial support as well. And they're also been doing this ever since the beginning of October 7th. They've reached out to dozens of these hostage families and working with another, partnering with another Israeli organization that reaches out to many of these orphans right now, hostages, many of the widows that have been left widows after what's happened on October 7th. It's really just a small part of what CBN Israel does here in Israel. It's really grown over the years, reaching out to Holocaust survivors, providing financial support to many believers in the region as well. So, but specifically, that family is being reached out by CBN Israel.
Well, Chris, thanks for being with us. A very happy Thanksgiving to you, and we will all continue to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Chris Mitchell, that's live from Jerusalem. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks, Wood. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Well, keep in mind that we have the power here in the United States to petition our government for certain things, and I would encourage you, let's keep the pressure on Hamas and anyone that is supporting Hamas, any group, well, I don't care if that's a UN group or what it is, and Muslim Brotherhood absolutely is a terror organization. Back in the Obama administration, they tried to claim that somehow it was a social welfare organization. What a ridiculous thing to claim. And then in the Biden administration, the Houthis being removed from the terror list in some weird effort to say, well, if we provide enough humanitarian aid, they'll stop firing missiles at our ships. Its truth has been turned on its head. Let's identify for what it is. There's an ideology of hate that's running rampant across the world, not just in the Middle East, but across the world. Let's identify it, let's target it, and especially let's cut off the funding. Well, here at home, millions of Americans are driving and flying, and we're having record-breaking Thanksgiving travel. Brody Carter has that story.
The numbers are hitting new heights as an estimated 6.1 million people are expected to fly this Thanksgiving, in addition to a massive wave of more than 73 million traveling by car and another 2.5 million by train, bus, and cruise. This all adds up to nearly 82 million, and it's being called the busiest travel season on record.
For us, this week is our Super Bowl. And I'm here to tell you we've got a great plan.
This record-breaking push comes at a precarious time for the system designed to keep people safe.
Very, very busy. It's very busy right now.
It follows a 44-day government shutdown forcing TSA agents and FAA technicians to work without pay, causing significant staffing shortages, and it jump-started a retirement wave.
We used to have four air traffic controllers retire every day. We now have 15 to 20 air traffic controllers retiring a day.
The Trump administration is pushing for a complete rebuild of the aging air traffic control system.
If we want to have less stories about delays and shutdowns, let's actually do the work to fix the system that oftentimes is causing those delays and those cancellations, and that is building a brand new system.
And Mother Nature isn't helping travelers as a major system brings widespread cold and windy air. To the north, up to 9 inches of snow is possible, with rain and thunderstorms to the south.
It was really important to us to make the trip and suffer through this experience together as a family.
With pressure from both the weather and the travel system, Secretary Duffy is launching a new campaign, putting the onus on travelers themselves. He's asking for a little more civility.
I would encourage people to maybe dress a little better, which encourages us to maybe behave a little better. Let's try not to wear slippers and pajamas as we come to the airport. I think that's positive. Common courtesy and civility, I think, is going to work well. And I ask you to please be patient with our TSA and our gate agents.
Brody Carter, CBN News.
Well, Ashley just commented people are still going to show up in pajamas. Please don't do that. I'm old enough to remember travel back in sort of what I now consider a golden age, where, you know, you would show up, men would show up in a jacket and tie, and that is completely out the window now. But can we at least, regardless of what you're wearing, can we at least be civil to one another? It's going to be very crowded. Everybody's having a very long day. Let's be nice to one another.
Absolutely. Maybe not slippers. Maybe some you know, shoes that aren't going to fall off your feet. But I get the comfortability. You want to be comfortable when you fly, but, you know, still be appropriate. Let's hope. All right.
Appropriate. Yeah.
Right. All right,
no
everyone.
pajamas. Pajamas are not appropriate.